following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
Oh, Florida, I stand on guard for the... And we're going to talk about Jonathan Lekkerimaki, okay, on today's episode of Locked On Canucks.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
The Abbotsford Canucks are 3 wins away from a Calder Cup championship. The We the South movement is 1 win away from its final goal, and we're going to talk about it all here on Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, co-host of Locked On Canucks, and also a Canucks writer with Daily Hive Vancouver. Had the pleasure of writing the post-game recap of Game 5 for Daily Hive on Saturday night. Before we dive into today's show, we got to thank you for tuning into Locked On Canucks, because it is your Canucks every damn day. We're not here without you tuning in. So if you like what we're doing, the best thing you could do, go share this episode with your homies and go spread the word. On today's episode, let's talk about the Abbotsford Canucks, and specifically one guy who has not been involved at all, Jonathan Lekkerimaki. A healthy scratch for 4 straight games. What's going on with this guy? And we're going to tell you why you shouldn't worry about Jonathan Lekkerimaki just yet. I want to spotlight a couple of other big boys with the Abbotsford Canucks who are making some noise right now in these playoffs. What is their NHL future, if any? We'll also talk about, again, the Edmonton Oilers leaving a big old turd in the arena at Rogers Place on Saturday night. What's going to happen in that series? What are the Canuck angles there? Let's get into it all in this episode of Locked On Canucks. But before I do that, let me introduce my co-host. Man, oh man, he's got about 40 pounds of muscle on Jonathan Lekkerimaki, but it's all good, baby. Calder Bhawan, what's going on, brother?
40 pounds of muscle on Jonathan Lekkerimaki. Is that true? Is Lekkerimaki what? Like, is he not following Pettersson's lead and going to the gym?
He's 20 years old, man. Sometimes it's hard to put on muscle at that age, man. But listen, at 5'11", 172 pounds, and Kyle, I know you're about 215 pounds of pure muscle.
No, I'm 193. Stop calling me fat, Trevor. Okay? Like, I don't know why you keep fat shaming in 2025. Okay? Where am I going with this? Oh, yeah. Okay, so much to talk about. We'll get into all the shenanigans in like 20 minutes, but can we just touch on the prospect thing, the Abbotsford Canucks thing? And I know this guy hasn't played games. He's probably going to be inserted into the lineup pretty soon. But I guess the critical question to ask right here is this. Like, what happened to Jonathan Lekkerimaki? Because this guy adapted to the North American game pretty smoothly, okay? Early on, I thought he played well for the big club in Vancouver, but in the AHL, I would use the term dominating, okay? For him being a 20-year-old, just getting to North America, he was looking good in the regular season, scoring a lot of goals. But, North American playoff hockey, has that slowed him down, or has there been other reasons why, again, we're not seeing a lot of Jonathan Lekkerimaki?
Well, I think the main answer here is that, honestly, the AHL is a hard league. It's a physical league. We've seen that in this series between the Abbotsford Canucks and the Charlotte Checkers. It is a hard league to play in, right? I know it's a step below the NHL in terms of skill, but often the skill guys, especially a guy like Jonathan Lekkerimaki, can get lost in the physicality of what is really a brutal postseason in the AHL. 5 rounds of playoffs, lots of physicality, got a lot of bruisers down there. And honestly, a lot of 20-year-olds do struggle on the bigger stage in the AHL playoffs. And Kyle, I was going through, recent first-round picks to see, how do they perform as a 20-year-old in the AHL playoffs? And honestly, there are some outliers, but for the most part, there are not a lot of 20-year-olds that make a big impact in the AHL playoffs. And I think, I'll highlight a couple of names here. Like Hendrix Lapierre is one guy I've talked about in the show before. An interesting buy low target if he does shake loose from the Washington Capitals. But as a 20-year-old in the AHL playoffs, the Hershey Bears ended up winning the championship. Hendrix Lapierre had 3 goals and 6 points in 20 games, more or less a non-factor. The following season as a 21-year-old, 7 goals and 22 points in 20 games, helping the Hershey Bears win their 2nd consecutive Calder Cup. So, that's just one example there. But again, even going back to the draft with Jonathan Lekkerimaki, his teammate Noah Ostlund, pretty much a non-factor in the AHL playoffs this year, around no goals and 2 points before the Rochester Americans were eliminated. I looked at other guys too, like Connor Zary of the Calgary Flames. Very similar numbers to Jonathan Lekkerimaki, 1 goal and 4 points in 9 games. For the record, Jonathan Lekkerimaki has 1 goal and 5 points in 12 games in these playoffs. And look, Connor Zary, the next season, basically went on to be a full-time NHLer. Maverick Bork with the Dallas
And
Stars, another guy.
He's small.
And he's small
Not a
too,
very small.
100%, exactly.
Maverick Bork, small. Not the biggest guy. Maybe a stocky dude, right? But
Maverick Bork's a very similar size to Jonathan Lekkerimaki. He's listed at 5'11", 181, so about 10 pounds thicker than Jonathan Lekkerimaki. But he was a guy, again, 1 goal, 4 points in 8 games as a 20-year-old. The next season, 11 points in 7 games. So again, that jump from 20 to 21 is a huge one, especially at the AHL level. And again, another guy, Isaac Rosen, was another smaller guy who, again, as a 20-year-old, didn't make much noise in the AHL playoffs. He's again the 14th overall pick from 2021. And then as a 21-year-old in the AHL playoffs, 5 goals in 8 games after being more or less a non-factor the year before. So there's a laundry list of guys who, again, in the AHL at age 20, had a hard time making an impact in the AHL playoffs, but pretty much as soon as the next year went on to have an impact. I think the lesson here with Jonathan Lekkerimaki is, or at least my main takeaway, he's still an NHL player. He's going to be a complimentary top 6 piece, barring something drastic. This isn't going to be a guy that comes in and drives his own line. Like, I look at Jonathan Lekkerimaki, and I really do think the best case scenario for him is Brock Besser. And of course, they're built a bit differently, but I see them both as top 6 complimentary scoring wingers. And if you get that out of Jonathan Lekkerimaki, you've done pretty well if you draft him 15th overall.
yeah, but this team wants more. I mean, I guess everyone wants more in this thing called their lives, but I think it's important for the Canucks and the big club, the real Canucks. I'm sorry to Abbotsford, but you know what I'm saying. The Vancouver Canucks to get superstar Jonathan Lekkerimaki. Again, look at what he did early on in the AHL. Like, he was doing his thing, and he scored a lot of nice goals. This wasn't him just being smart and tapping in goals and being Kuzmenko. Like, this guy's ripping shots, going coast to coast, doing his thing, adjusting pretty easily for real. And I just hope he's more than complimentary. And I think that's why some fans out here were just a little. I can't speak for myself because I'm not that connected to the AHL playoffs, but there are some fans who are a little concerned about his disappearance here in the playoffs because he was a first-round pick a couple of years ago, right? A couple years ago, 3 years ago, right? I guess if my math is correct, and you don't really want that. You don't want him not being there, right? And he's not there. And I wonder if what are the chances? Like, do you think there's a chance that Alvin and Rutherford are, I wouldn't say overthinking the Lekkerimaki thing, but are they looking at this differently? And are they maybe more than just open, but just shopping him in a trade to fix the big club? Because I feel as if he pans out to be a complimentary guy, like a 20 to 25 goal guy, like Trevor's alluding to, like, just, again, no potential for Jonathan Lekkerimaki, apparently. Okay, not a superstar after all. Guy, does his thing at the World Hockey Championships, leads Sweden in points. But he's a complimentary piece, though. Not a big deal. If he's not that guy, then the Canucks should strike early, Like, while his cachet, and so he still has some of that swag. I know he's been a healthy scratch, but he's still Jonathan Lekkerimaki, and maybe they won't be that hurt if they trade him in a first for, I don't know, Marco Rossi? Okay. Anyways, Trevor, I'm curious. Like, have you heard anything? Like, how do the Canucks view Jonathan Lekkerimaki in the grand scheme of things?
Honestly, I think they view him the way I just outlined. They view him as a future complimentary top 6 winger. I don't really think he's being shopped. I'll say this. I think he's available, but I don't think he's actively being shopped for a couple of reasons. There's a lot of eyeballs on the AHL playoffs from other pro scouts, right? And they're currently seeing a guy who is sitting in the press box. So that's not doing a lot for his value. If the Canucks truly were shopping him, you think they'd be pushing to have him in the AHL lineup to try to make an impact in some way, shape, or form. And look, after the first 2 games for the Abbotsford Canucks where they get outshot, I have it here. They've been outshot 95-43 over the first 2 games, and they did escape with a 1-1 split. Yeah, Archie Shelovs has just been unbelievable for them. So I think there's a good chance Lekkerimaki does get in here as the series shifts back to Abbotsford. Solely because during the regular season, he averaged 3.5 shots on goal per game. It's been a little over a shot per game in the playoffs. So you could tell that He's had a harder time finding space out there. But really, if they were shopping, you would think they'd be putting him on the power play and playing at least in the middle six role for Abbotsford. So I don't think he's really actively being shopped. And just frankly,
I think he is. He's actively being shopped, Trevor. Let's be honest. Like, the Canucks have so many holes. Like, Jonathan Lekkerimaki is a part of the conversation. He is. Like,
I think he's a part of the conversation. I don't think he's actively being shopped. And the other thing too, Kyle, is the Canucks don't have a lot of young options in terms of prospects who could be top 6 players. Like, it's Jonathan Lekkerimaki and who else? Honestly.
Yeah. Look, I'm actually more high on Jonathan Lekkerimaki in a hockey sense. I feel as if every young player that came up for the Vancouver Canucks, like, they had their moments. Max Sasson, obviously, like, I feel like he adjusted the most as far as, like, being able to translate his game when he got called up. But he's also a little bit older, if I'm correct. Jonathan Lekkerimaki, 20 years old. Look at Archie Baines too, getting called up. I know he's a bit older too, but all in all, like, these two, when they got called up, they entered one of the most toxic dressing rooms in NHL history. That's what it felt like. Okay, not the easiest place to play hockey, right? And oh yeah, Rick Tocchet apparently could not coach hockey. Okay, offense. I'm sorry, real talk. Not the easiest place, and I just wonder if, like, Lekkerimäki had his confidence kind of broken as a 20-year-old playing for Rick Tocchet, because there's moments where Lekkerimäki was looking super net positive while on the ice for the Vancouver Canucks, but he never got minutes. And I know you mentioned like, oh, he had time with JT Miller and whatnot and blah, but I'm talking about his second stint, right? There was that moment in New Jersey. I feel as if the Canucks don't make that comeback against New Jersey if Lekkerimäki's not doing his thing in the third period. He scores that shootout goal, and, like, you barely see, like, the belief in him afterwards. Like, it's like, oh, one mediocre period in New York and you're not playing the rest of the game. I don't know. Like, that could be hard for a kid. And I don't know if you ever recovered, because, again, Jonathan Lekkerimaki had 19 goals in 36 games in the AHL as a first-year guy in North America. That doesn't scream complimentary piece. That screams like, yo, this guy's intelligence on another level. He can get the job done, and when he's confident, he's lethal. And yeah, like, how many top 6 prospects do the Canucks have? Not many. Dude, but I want Lekkerimäki to be like a top line piece, a legitimate top line piece, a legitimate X factor. And he has the hockey smarts, and I know he's frail, but I think he's stronger than he looks. And yeah, I just hope, you know, whatever the outcome is, whether he gets back in the lineup or not, whether Abbotsford wins or not, that he doesn't believe that he has to totally reinvent the wheel this summer. Like, he doesn't have to, like, he has to find his confidence, and maybe I just hope he's not questioning himself, because it's been a very, very successful year for that guy. 19 goals in 36 games. That's crazy.
Yeah, and I honestly, Kyle, I don't think that's the case. You know, in terms of other factors, you know, he's dealt with some injury, had dental surgery time out of the lineup. But this is also just the longest season he's ever had, right? You know, he's played 48 games in the AHL, another 24 at the NHL level. I mean, this is by far the longest season he's ever had, right? You know, in Sweden, the seasons are much shorter. So the wear and tear on the body, being in a completely different country to what he's been used to, you know, he's done really well in the face of adversity. But let's leave it up to the commenters. How high are you on Jonathan Lekkermaki's potential, and do you think the Canucks should be actively shopping him right now? Let's pause for break here. We'll be back on the other side to talk a little bit more Abbotsford Canucks and definitely talk about our hate for the Edmonton Oilers. That's coming up here on Locked On Canucks. All right, before we get back to the program, let's shout out our friends over at Monarch Money. Do you ever check your bank account and wonder, where the hell did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. Not to mention wedding season right now, man. Man, oh man, that's putting a dent in my wallet. But hey, this is where Monarch Money comes in, because they are your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. So you can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building your wealth. And man, oh man, I've said it before, but Monarch Money, they've helped improve my love life, baby, because managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. And you know what they say about less stress? They say more lovemaking, baby.
No, they say more quality lovemaking. Okay, I'm stressed all the time. I'm still, but it's yeah. So, Trevor, continue.
I see. When you're less stressed, you make better love. But when you're still stressed, you still make love. Okay, no, Kyle. Look at you. You dog, man. Oh, my God. Unbelievable.
I'll be damned.
Woof, woof.
All right, there we go. Make sure that you take control of your finances with Monarch Money and improve your lovemaking too, baby. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for half off of your first year.
Okay, we back doing this, and that's talking about your Vancouver Canucks, your Abbotsford Canucks, Trevor Beggs, Kyle Bhawan, aka the Findu, and the best dad in the world. Okay, remember, my dad went down the rankings because prior to the Stanley Cup final starting, he did pick the Oilers. He wanted the Oilers to win for various reasons. Okay, I'm pretty sure my dad's actually in the chat right now. Okay, let's get to the comments. And look at this, not this one, right here from Greg Mellon, aka my dad. He's saying 30. Did I get the wrong one? Right here. I'm sorry, but you want to keep the Stanley Cup in the U.S. for another year. I'll say it right now. It's not going to happen, and that the Oilers are going to win Game 6 and Game 7. We are tired of waiting 32 years. Okay, first of all, Greg, speak for yourself. I'm down to wait an extra year for the Canucks to bring it to Vancouver and, fill this invisible quota. Okay, for real. Okay, I don't know what this is, but that this conversation's been stale. The whole Canada's team thing. But we're tired of waiting. Yeah, okay. I don't know. I'm happy seeing, and this is ironic, Trevor, because we're gonna get into it too. I'm happy seeing Canadian Brad Marchand do his thing. Okay, for real. Speaking of which, let's run the new segment in the ocean where we travel through the internet and find things kind of Canuck related. Okay, so let's talk about, my bad. I don't know why Connor McDavid is crying on the screen. Whoa. We have to go to this one right here. Okay, look at this. Trevor Beggs tweeted out a video of Brad Marchand. I'm not going to play the volume because of copyright reasons, but he has a video of Brad Marchand walking into the Florida Panthers locker room and getting a round of applause. I'm also not going to play the video because Trevor Beggs and his family were actually standing up too, giving him a round of applause. Trevor, man, how is this even happening? We're all Brad Marchand fans now, eh?
Yeah, it's funny. I had this debate with a couple of guys on my ball hockey team who are just like, I can't cheer for Brad Marchand to win. And for me personally, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm a fan of Brad Marchand, but he did beat the Canucks in the Cup final on a different team 14 years ago. The Edmonton Oilers hate for me is fresh. They just knocked out the Canucks 13 months ago. They're one of the Canucks' longtime biggest rivals. And for me, my dream isn't for a Canadian team to finally win the Cup and end this drought. My dream is for the Vancouver Canucks to bring home the first Stanley Cup in franchise history. Just give me one before I die. For me, it's not about Edmonton or Toronto or Calgary winning the Stanley Cup. I'll wait a lifetime. I don't care if I ever see that in my lifetime. I hope I never see that in my lifetime. And I might see this week and be very sad. And the rest of Canada, if you want to bandwagon on and cheer for the Edmonton Oilers, so be it. But to me, they'll always be the Edmonton Coilers. It's for me. I guess I'm cheering for Brad Marchand, man, because I really don't want to see Edmonton win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, and just what a time, yo. Because we hated Brad Marchand for so long, and we quote unquote missed out on prime Brad Marchand and appreciating the type of hockey player he was, because he's a piece of shit. He's a rat. He's dirty. He's so dirty. If you watch the mixtape of Brad Marchand almost killing people, quote unquote, you just shake your head. You're like, holy, if I was his father, I'd be disappointed. You're a bad guy. You're a bad guy. But while he was doing all those crazy things, he was an incredibly skilled player. And it's interesting, him going against the Oilers, and now cheering Brad Marchand on. And I guess it's easier to do so when he's scoring ridiculous goals. Like, he might have scored one of the nicest goals in Stanley Cup Finals history. And I was going nuts.
Yeah. I'll say this, Kyle. I don't sit there and really go nuts for Brad Marchand scoring. Like, at the end of the day, Florida would be kind of far down the list of teams I'd cheer for when I'm pulling all 32 teams. But they're the team that has the chance to make me happy by beating the Edmonton Oilers. Because I still think it is incredibly weird to cheer for your rival. If you're a true Canucks fan and you're cheering for the Edmonton Oilers, that's effing weird, man. I don't care what you say. That's weird. That's weird energy, man.
And Trevor,
and sometimes in life you need to be weird, but this is just a cringy weirdness.
And Trevor, on that note, please do not take your family to the aquarium for a little bit, okay? Please don't do that, because they're promoting. I didn't know the Vancouver Aquarium loved oil. Oil destroys the ocean, but apparently those animals are just, it's like a circus in there. You know what I'm saying? Just live actors, man. Anyways, Trevor, speaking of animals in cages, the Vancouver Zoo's in Abbotsford, right? Like, last time I checked, I think that's true. And I saw videos, man, of the Abbotsford. I think it was like, what restaurant was it? Not Brew Hall or something. But there's a bar in Abbotsford, and obviously so, right? Tight-knit community, an athletic community. They love their sports in Abbotsford. And they were going nuts. I mean, I know Abbotsford lost yesterday, right? Archer Sheloff couldn't score a hat trick. I'm sorry. But I'm proud of that community, man. I'm really happy for that community. A couple more games this week. They got 3 straight in Abbotsford. Hey, they could wrap it up and win the Calder Cup. But they're just positive vibes for our neighbors. Specifically speaking, though, can you just brag about Archer Sheloff again, please? Because we were right about him, and then we were wrong about him, and now we're right about him again.
Well, he's the sole reason that the Canucks are going back with a 1-1 split here, right? And I mean, he faced 50+ shots in game 1 and managed to get the victory. Of course, maybe a little lucky that goal got called off in overtime. I'm not sure your take on that, Kyle. But for the ref, probably shouldn't have dropped the puck. The center there, I can't remember who it was, probably should have went back to check Archer Sheloff. But regardless, he's been an absolute stud. I mean, the Canucks were outshot 42-13, I think it was, in game 2. And they managed to get it to overtime, right? Largely on the back of Archer Sheloff, just going to hero mode, especially in the final, 40 minutes of regulation there, where it was, tied in a 2-2 draw.
Man, top prospect Archer Sheloff. Can you start saying that word now?
Archer Sheloff, maybe top trade ship Archer Sheloffs too.
Top trade ship Archer Sheloff. And Trevor, touch on this other trade ship, because I've been hearing more about him, and I have a tough time saying his name. But I also saw somebody tweet about how the Canucks just stole this guy, his name's Kirill Butter Chicken Kuryatsiev, that guy. He's a Justin, man. He's a Justin. He's a skilled player. And I mean, at the end of the day, I feel as if the Canucks can, possibly get rid of, I don't want to say Tom Willander for Kirill, but they can maybe get rid of Mancini or whatever defenseman prospect, because they're kind of deep down there when it comes to the D. The D in Abbotsford is right. It's nice. It's big. It's strong. No, they know how to use their sticks. No, they're just the D is good in Abbotsford right now. And yeah, they allowed 50 shots last night, and Archer Sheloff had to do everything, but I'd blame the offense more for that. Can you just fill us in on that guy a little bit more?
Well, honestly, Kyle, you mentioned trading Willander and Mancini. Kirill Kuryatsiev played on the left side. To me, and I think maybe we'll touch on this tomorrow or later this week, I wonder if it makes you think a bit more about trading a guy like Marcus Pettersson before his no-move clause kicks in. I know that's probably a bit of a bold take, but when they acquired Marcus Pettersson, DPD had played 2 NHL games. He now looks like really a top 4 fixture in the not-so-distant future. Maybe not as soon as next season, but in the not-so-distant future. I think Kirill Kuryatsiev could definitely be a bottom-pairing defenseman. You might have, in a couple of years, DPD and Kirill Kuryatsiev as your 2-3 on the left side behind Quinn Hughes, assuming he stays. If that's the case, do you really need Marcus Pettersson? And I know the optics would be terrible, right? You traded a first-round pick, an unprotected first-round pick potentially for this guy. You shouldn't have done it in the first place. You doubled down by signing him to the extension. But again, his no move clause does kick in on July 1st. I do wonder if that's a guy the Canucks potentially look at trading.
Oh, Trevor, man. No, there's no way, dude. There is no the Canucks traded an unprotected first in the Gavin McKenna draft for Marcus Pettersson. There is no way they're moving him. And Trevor, like Ben Kuzma said, right? They're trying to get rid of the cancerous guys in that locker room. Dude, Marcus Pettersson, doesn't he have the cure for cancer? Okay. Okay. No, what I meant to say, he's a good guy, right? They want good guys in that room, and he's a good player. He's a good player. Now, I will say this about him being a good player. I feel like the prototype of player he is at his best, I'm not going to say it's easily replaceable, but you can make guys like that. You can make guys like that. Just be sound, be good with your stick, right? Skate well, make a good first pass. So, Trevor's shaking his head because I know you're pissed off. I know you're pissed off we still made that trade, man. It's like, I like Marcus Pettersson. He helped to an extent. I mean, we finished in the same spot. We probably got worse when we got, but yeah, there's no Quinn Hughes there. Anyways, you're making me think though, because that would be something. But if the Canucks do trade Marcus Pettersson, like they got to get a first round pick back, right? Or else you're not doing that. And can they do that? Can they do that?
They could do that. Yeah, why not?
You think so? Like his value would, like, you think?
Yeah, I think he's on a friendly contract, $5.5 million a season for a legitimate second pairing defenseman. Yeah, I think you get a first round pick for that for sure.
And you think Alvin's open to doing it after pretty much trading Miller to
I don't think he's open to doing it. I'm saying it's something that the Canucks should consider. Do I think they're open to doing it? I don't think so. Okay, let's see what the commenters think, Kyle. And I do got a couple more points I want to make here on the other side. Let's wrap up here. You're listening to Locked On Canucks.
People, we still doing this, and that's talking about your Vancouver Canucks. Please do us a favor and hit the like button. It helps out the video a lot. And Trevor, as I touched on the Substack, almost done this version. And we talked about this. I'm getting married. You know this, right?
Yeah.
Potential
6
fiance.
years now, right? 6 years?
6 years. Do the math. Do the interest. Do the inflation math. Hit the like button, okay? You ever see the cost of a brown wedding? Let's help a brother out.
This is how many figures it is, right? 6 figures. 6 figures. Yeah.
6 figures, man. $387,000. You know how much a plate of butter chicken is at a wedding reception, bro? Exactly, bro. Help a brother out and help the family man out too. Trevor Beggs, best dad in the world. Share the show with another Canucks fan and just let him know. Okay, where are you getting this from? Where are you getting this from? Nowhere else, other than the Discord. Join the Discord link in the bio. Trevor, are you getting off work early tomorrow? They did tell the boss, like, I got to get home early for Game 6. I got to support the Panthers because there are some people out there that are leaving work early to support the Oilers, right? So, you doing that tomorrow?
Absolutely not. I will get home and watch the game with my kids and cheer go Panthers go. My family's split on it, man. My household's split. My wife wants the Oilers to win. My daughter's cheering for the Oilers, but my son, he's on my side, man. Let's go, man. He's the youngest one, the easiest one to indoctrinate. He cheers go Panthers go. He says boo Oilers. That's indoctrination right there, buddy.
Your wife is cheering for the Oilers.
Yeah, my in-laws got mad at me the other day. I came over and I'm talking smack, and they actually got mad at me. I don't know. So it's sports, man. I just like talking crap. But
are we less Canadian? Are we less Canadian? Are we less Canadian? Are you and I just?
Oh, potentially. Yeah, I've said it before. I'm more Vancouver than I am Canadian. So yeah, potentially.
Are we spies? Are we spies?
I can't speak for you, but all I can say is that I'm loyal to the blue and green, and this whole Canada team thing. Again, my dream isn't for a Canadian team to win the Stanley Cup. I could care less if I had to wait a lifetime for that. What I care about is my Vancouver Canucks winning the Stanley Cup.
Yep, 100%. Anyways, let's get to some comments here on Locked On Canucks. One love to you and you and you and you. Look at this, okay? Jack's saying that Marcus Pettersson is on a team-friendly deal. And then the Bash brothers also said earlier that he hopes we don't trade MP3. So Trevor, are we being too harsh on him? Are we just like, do we need to let go of like the Miller trade and like how that went down and how that night went down and the unprotected first for UFA defenseman and Marcus Pettersson? It's like, what? Like, what the hell? Like, do we have to let go? Because it seems like people really like this guy.
I don't think we need to let go because, hey, we're doing Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every day. And we got to give our honest takes on the situation. And the honest take is that the Canucks jumped the gun way too soon on that deal. And that's just the truth, whether Canuck fans want to accept it or not. And, shout out to all of our commenters. I'm going to bring up this one from Calvin999 Charlie saying, if we trade MP3, we lost the JT Miller trade. I got news for you. We already lost the JT Miller trade.
Trevor, man. Okay, you know what? You got to, bro, Trevor, just next comment. Oh, my God. Trevor, man. Please, okay? Look at this comment from Jax, okay? Mancini appears to have the highest percentage. Okay, wait. Appears to be the highest percentage of D to be traded in a deal for a forward for me. Okay, Valentino Martini Mancini. I like this guy. I think he's legit. He passed the eye test for me when he played with the big club. He really did. I liked his confidence. I like what he's doing in Abbotsford, too. I see the clips, too. Like, this guy's got the bravado. And I just wonder. I wonder if, I mean, it's ironic because we just talked about the Miller trade. Like, is there any way the league views Mancini as a legitimate D prospect too? I know a former 5th round pick, but yeah, you could be like, yo, he was a big piece of the Miller trade. And now look at the film, right? Could like the Canucks raise his value like that?
100% they could. I mean, I think the tape speaks for itself. I'll say that I think Victor Mancini, although he's, on casual fans' radars, he wouldn't have been there prior to the trade. But,
oh yeah,
for pro scouts, he was on the Canucks radar, clearly. Like, they wanted him included in that deal. And I think he's only raised his stock since coming to Vancouver. I think it was, you could say there were some up and downs when he joined the Vancouver Canucks, but he showed some NHL skill there. And then he's been an absolute monster for the Abbotsford Canucks in these playoffs, right? 7 points, 3 goals in 20 games. This maybe doesn't jump out the page, but he's been flying out there on the ice. So, I mean, yeah, I think he's absolutely raised his stock in this postseason. And to answer the question, is he the highest percentage D to be traded? He's certainly, it's hard to argue with that, to be honest, right? Because we talk about names like Marcus Pettersson, Philip Hronek, Tom Willander, Krog Kudryavtsev, Sorry Minio, if you want to include those guys, but probably Victor Mancini is right in that bubble of not being untouchable like DPD or close to untouchable like Tom Willander, but a guy who could still get value for in the trade market.
And I gotta say this now, because now I'm going through like the Rolodex of Mancini film in my mind right now, and this sounds crazy because I haven't watched a lot of Tom Willander, right? I've just seen the highlights too. But again, we got to watch Mancini play actual games in the NHL, and he looked comfortable. He looked good. I think it's getting to the point where if the Canucks, again, they're going to do it. They're going to have to get 2 top 6 pieces. Like, how do you do that? You got like Lekkerimäki or Tom Willander. One of these guys is out of there, most likely. And if the Canucks choose to trade Tom Willander to get an ultra piece in their top 6, it's going to hurt me because, again, I respect Willander's game. I like his poise. I like, you want to talk about good guys and getting like, I know he acted like Eric Lindros a bit a couple months ago with the whole contract thing, but this guy seems like a gamer. You want guys like this on your team. But because of Mancini, because I'm convinced this guy's like first round talent, I'm convinced that this guy has a little bit of Gustav Forsling in him, okay? I'm okay with it. If Willander goes, because we have right-handed Victor Valentino Martini III, dude, the trade. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it, Trevor. I'm getting closer to that. Like, it is what it is, and at least we have Victor Valentino Martini III.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, for the Canucks to realistically and to prove their top 6 next season, they're going to have to give up a piece that fans like, because you got to give up good players and good pieces to get good players in return. And if it's not Willander or Mancini or Lekkerimäki, it's going to be a roster player like Höglander or Garland. That's just the reality of the situation. So. Yeah, I mean, you want to keep Mancini, but we could get you a legit top 6 piece back as a center.
I don't know about that. I don't know if Valentino Martini alone and like Valentino Martini, Victor Mancini III or whatever, and a first, like I don't know if that's enough to get. I think it's like a flyer guy in the top 6. Like that's why when I'm like Willander in a first, like you're talking about a game breaker, but like you're talking about one of the best players available out there. on the trade market. For me, I don't know if Mancini in the pick does that, but Willander does. And I'm starting to look at, again, Martini as a first round prospect. And yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is.
Look at this. If you want to get a legitimate first line player, do the reverse of the JT Miller trade, right? It was Hedel, Mancini, and a first.
Yeah.
Do you include Mancini, a first, and like Connor Garland? Is that a comparable deal? I'd probably say so, right? If you want to get a legitimate first round talent, that's probably what you're giving up.
Look at this, man. Mancini could be the next Ekblad, man.
Yeah, we got SK93 saying Mancini is the next Brent Seabrook. Man, Canucks fans, it's funny, baby. Let's go.
I like it, man. You know, that it is what it is, bro. That's what happens when you talk shit about the Oilers all episode, man.
Oh, man. SK93 was one other one saying Mancini will be the best part of the Miller trade 5 years from now. He's a top pairing D-man in the making. I mean, it's hard to argue with that because what are the options? It's Marcus Pettersson, Philip Hedl, and Victor Mancini. I'm still pretty high on Philip Hedl, to be honest with you. But in 5 years from now, Mancini will be in his prime. Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off. Just lagging a bit. Let's spend some time with actually, let us know in the comments after this video is posted or on the podcast side of things too. We're about to get out of here. Let's talk about Philip Hedl. What should the topic be? How do we talk about Philip Hedl? Right? What's the topic? Maybe it's as simple as like, what is he? Because again, based on the short sample size, I like them. I like his energy. Okay. Anyways, Kyle Bhawan, Trevor Beggs, we out of here. It was nice to see you again, Trevor. Would I rather be a full-time DJ or full-time Canucks fan on YouTube? I'd rather be a Canucks fan on YouTube. Okay. Be careful what you wish for, but I love you and you and you and you. Nobody like a Canucks fan. A real authentic Canucks fan, you can find them here on Locked On Canucks. No fake Oilers fan BS on this side, okay? Anyways, Trevor, sign us out.
Yeah, one love to you and you and you. Whether you're an everydayer, an occasional listener, or a first-time listener, or even a new subscriber, we love each and every one of you. Appreciate the hell out of you for tuning in. If you like what we're doing, again, share this episode with your friends. Spread the word. We got links for the Discord in the bio. You can talk hockey, talk Canucks, talk whatever you want with the best Canuck fans in the world. Do it while you're on the toilet or in the comfort of your own bed, baby. And also join the Substack as well. Kyle and I are releasing articles once or twice a week. I call it an article. It's more so just Kyle and I just talking smack back and forth with each other about your Vancouver Canucks. But we got to get out of here. One love to Jonathan Lekkerimaki. One love to the We the South movement. F the Oilers. And we'll catch you next time here on Locked On Canucks.